Good morning, folks. Um, Welcome to your Friday update. Every Friday, I will do a little bit of content to send out with your invite for the next Zoom class. So, last week was our first class, and we did some foundational movements. But what I love about the practice of yoga is that it can start to become a daily practice, whether that's a big class that you go to, whether that is some simple breath work that you do, or if that's maybe just a morning or evening routine that helps either wake the body up gently or de-stress at the end of the day. So what I'm going to show you this week is about maybe 15-20 minutes. We'll see how long it runs for. Is some of the kind of the go-to postures or movements that I either include in my morning practice to allow my body to wake up gently, to bring movement through the spine, or it's some movements that I do in bed occasionally, but before I go to bed or in the evening when I need to wind down. And that's what's really nice about yoga. You can do yoga to energize the body, and you can allow yoga to kind of bring the energies down in the body. We'll talk a bit more about breathing or breath techniques, or pranayama, next week in next week's video. And it'll always kind of refer back to what we do in the class each time as well. So if you want to join me in this, you won't necessarily need a mat. Obviously, as a yoga teacher, I have my mat all the time. And as I practice yoga every day, I have my mat all the time as well. But really what you might need for this is just a blanket or a towel. Again, we want to think about protecting the knees in particular. I'm leaving my socks on today because it's cold, and I'll have my kind of jumper on as well. But this is the sort of practice that you could do in bed if you have the opportunity to as well. So maybe some cushions or pillows just underneath the knees, just to give a bit of protection, if you're going to be doing it on a floor surface. Okay. So what I would suggest is coming to all fours, let the toes release or relax. Have that protection for the knees. Bring your hands roughly, remember everyone's different, and this is what we talked about last week in our first class. We did cat-cow. Everyone's a little bit different in where they need to be, but roughly you want your hands or wrists underneath elbows, stacked underneath the shoulder, and you want your hips in line with the knee, and your knees are about as wide as your pelvis, roughly. Sometimes people prefer them a little wider, sometimes people need to have them a little closer together. Just find a position that allows you to come to tabletop, all fours, or in Sanskrit, Brahmanasana. Looking towards the horizon, taking a breath in here, and exhale. Breathing in, and exhale. One more. Letting the breath go through an exhalation or sigh can help just kind of wiggle out or relieve any of the kind of tension that's maybe been held in the body. And a favourite of mine is some rotations here. So I'm going to lean to my left, taking a little bit of weight into the wrist. I'm going to inhale as I take the body up over the wrist, round to the right. I'm going to exhale as my bum pushes back just a little. Inhale as I come out over to the left, over the wrists, doing rotations. Exhale as I go back. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale and inhale. All of these moves are really nice because if you want to, if it feels safe for you to do so and you're comfortable, you can maybe, or I invite you to close your eyes. This takes away the senses of what you can see your body doing or the movement you can see and brings you more towards a body feeling. So whether you're doing this in the evening or first thing in the morning, closing your eyes can allow you just to feel your body. Be aware of where these movements are coming from. Doing these rotations, you do not need to take your hips or your bum all the way back to the heels. And you don't need to take all of your weight over the wrists at the front. We're doing little circles. And when it feels right for you, starting to take them in the opposite direction. And I'll make my breath audible on the video, but you don't need to. Your breath can be quiet. Changing the position of your head, so lifting the head or bowing the head towards the floor is going to change the feeling through the top of the shoulders and your spine. And maybe as we start to feel the body warm up, we can start to take those movements a little further, maybe taking a bit more weight over the wrists, maybe pushing the hips back towards the heels. Again, swapping directions, starting to move in the opposite way. Bowing the head or lifting the chin. Maybe the first time you do this, it feels quite stiff. Maybe you're not able to do it for too long, just with the feelings in the knee or the weight of your body coming over the wrists, and that's okay. One last time, start to take it in the opposite direction. For this, you can move for as long as you want or as little. We're working into the wrists, or the wrist joint, the shoulders. We're working into the hip joint where your top of your leg meets your pelvis. We're working into the knees. But you'll notice you'll feel this in more than just those places. Slowly starting to come back towards neutral. From neutral, readjust. You'd be amazed how much you might move in and about. When you're doing your rotations, your body starts to kind of move a little bit. So from here, we're coming back with our hands underneath the shoulders. We're coming back towards tabletop. If you need to at any point, you can kind of come towards a kneeling seat and you can move into the wrists, or you could take the hands together and you can start to just move a little bit into the wrists, and this can feel really nice. Closing the eyes. Sometimes kneeling in your heels can be uncomfortable, so you can even be a little higher. And just keep, as we start to introduce more weight, it's nice just to move into the wrists. Coming back down onto the mat. Toes are still relaxed at the back, and we're going to start to do our cat-cow. So we're moving, the movement comes from the crown of the head all the way through the spine towards the tailbone. Really nice for your spine either in the morning or at night. In the morning, when you've been lying or sleeping, the fluids of the body collect in the spine, so it's nice to get some movement into it. And at the end of the day, a lot of the fluid has left the spine due to the compression of us sitting or standing, just pushing down. So by the end of the day, you're always a little bit shorter. And I know you can't see what height I am on the videos, but I'm already quite short. So I do a lot to try and keep the fluid in the spine, keeping me at my normal short length or short height. So from here, gently lifting the head, looking towards the horizon, taking a breath or two here. just holding, noticing maybe a slight curve in the lower back and the lumbar spine. It's as if you're trying to get your tailbone to tilt up slightly, which creates that curve through the spine all the way to the crown of the head. When you next exhale, we're going to start from the crown of the head. So you're going to move the chin towards the chest. Then you're going to push into the hands, so you round through the shoulders, pushing the spine towards the sky. And then the last bit that moves is we tuck the tailbone in slightly. So we start to create a rounded feeling. Chin is towards the chest, hands push into the earth, spine pushes away, all the way through to the tailbone, which is kind of tucking in towards the body. As we next inhale, we're going to move from the tailbone first. So we start to push the tailbone towards the sky. You'll notice this changes the shape in the spine. We start to drop the belly in the chest as we lift the head looking towards the horizon. We exhale, moving from the head first. Chin tucks towards the chest, pushing into the hand, rounding through the spine. Tailbone is the last to tuck in. As we inhale, we move from the tailbone through the spine towards the shoulders, lifting the head. Exhale from the head first, chin towards chest, rounding through the shoulders, pushing down into the earth, tucking the tailbone. Inhale from the tailbone first, moving through the spine, all the way to the head. Maybe the elbows soften slightly now. Exhale, chin towards chest, rounding through the shoulders and the spine, tucking the tailbone last. Inhale, tailbone releases, moving through the spine. Inhale all the way to cow. Moving with your own breath for a few movements. So starting with the head as we come into cat, tucking, rounding through the shoulders and spine, tailbone tucks last. Moving into cow, we untuck the tailbone, pushing it up towards the sky, curving through the lower part of the spine, releasing into the shoulders, lifting the head. Exhale, head and chin move first, rounding through the shoulders, moving down the spine towards the tuck of the tailbone. Inhale, starting with the tailbone, all the way to cow. One more of each. Exhale. And inhale. Exhaling here, maybe coming to that kneeling position. If kneeling's really difficult, just come to a little side sit. Take a couple of breaths here again, just clasping the hands, moving into the wrists. Everything can be done as you close your eyes. Okay, last little fluid movement is called moon flow. So we start, instead of in our tabletop position, walk the knees back just a little so that they're not directly underneath the hips. They're just a little bit further back. Take the hands a little bit further out in front from your shoulders. We're going to come down to what's called child's pose or balasana. So we start to take the hips back towards the heels, but they don't need to touch. Balasana for some can be really difficult, so it's nice just to stop here and then let the head drop slightly. Sometimes people can take balasana where you take the forearms down to the earth, your belly squeezes into your thighs and your forehead comes to the floor. Sorry, I'm talking into my blanket, so it's going to muffle the sound slightly. So this would be a modified child's pose, but we're not going to go back this far. In child's pose, your knees are usually a little bit wider, but we're coming back towards this shape on the screen just now. Maybe you're here. Maybe you're here. Maybe you're all the way down with your bum or your hips touching or skiffing the tops of the heels here. So we're going to start from here. We're going to inhale, a bit like coming up towards our cow pose. But we're going to take a little bit of weight over the wrists. The pelvis is going to maybe slightly drop forwards. Take an exhale here. Inhale, push back towards your tabletop, all fours. Exhale as the hips come back towards the heels, to whichever variation you like. Head can drop towards the floor. Inhale, lifting up, taking some weight as the shoulders come over the wrists, starting to maybe allow the pelvis to drop slightly. Really gentle movements here. Don't force your pelvis towards the floor. That's bad for your lower back. Inhale back to tabletop. Exhale, pushing back towards child's pose. Inhale. As the weight comes over the wrists, or the shoulders come past the wrists, exhale as the pelvis reaches a little further towards the floor. Hold here for a couple of breaths. Have a look at my shoulders. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pull the shoulders back a little. We don't want to be crunched in here. This can be really bad for the top of the back. We want to lift the head up, looking towards the horizon, and we want to pull the shoulders back slightly, pushing down into the hands. Let's not hang out here for too long. Inhale, back to tabletop. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, tabletop. Exhale towards upward facing dog. Shoulders pull back slightly so the chest shines through as we look towards the horizon. Maybe feeling more of this through the lower back. Inhale back to tabletop. Exhale towards child's pose. Inhale. And exhale, pelvis falling towards the floor. Remember, you might be stopping here, but you can still work into the shoulders, look towards the horizon. Inhale, back to tabletop. Exhale to child's pose. Inhale to lift. Exhale to drop slightly. My knees stay in contact with the floor. Inhale back to tabletop. Exhale down to child's pose. Again, you can close your eyes here. We're going to do another 3 rounds. Inhale to lift up through tabletop. Exhale for upward facing dog. Inhale back to tabletop. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. One more. Inhale to rise to tabletop. Exhale as the pelvis drops forward, shoulders pull back, look towards the horizon. Inhale back to tabletop. Exhale towards your last downward facing dog. And then inhale, bring yourself back towards your tabletop. Breathing here. One last posture or hold is called thread the needle. We're only going to hold it for 5 breaths, just because it's a twist, but it can be really nice to introduce twists in the morning and the evening, just to relieve some of the pressure through the side body, the spine, and activates into the core of the body as well. So thread the needle. We hold the same position. I personally like to take my knees a little wider than my hips, just to give myself a bit more base. I'm going to start with the right hand, so I'm moving the right hand just in a little bit from being directly underneath the shoulder, just towards the midline. We're going to do a gentle inhale, reaching the left hand up towards the sky. You might reach really far, you might just reach out towards the side slightly. As you exhale, take this hand as if you're going to bring it under the body, but don't touch down, just reach. And then inhale, lift it back up. Exhale, coming down and under, but don't touch down. Inhale once more, reach up. And then this time as you come down, we're bringing the arm under. So the left arm comes under, reaches out, palms facing up towards the sky. Bring the left shoulder down to the floor and the side of the head. Bringing that right hand towards I'm going to say the edge of the mat, but you're bringing it out towards the left, to the right, the right. Creating maybe a kind of an angle in that arm, enough that you could maybe just push the back away a little, as if the body's pushing away. But we're allowing the weight of the body to come down into, or the upper body to come down into that left shoulder. If there's any pins and needles, pinching, loss of blood flow to the hands, pull the arm out a little. It just means you've maybe overreached. And we're breathing here, holding. There are other variations of thread the needle, but we're just holding this introduction or foundational hold for another 3 breaths. Noticing the twist maybe coming through the body, making sure you can breathe fully. If we over twist, often the first thing that suffers is the ability to breathe. If we make our breath shallow or rapid, it's going to change the feeling in the body, and we're doing this to feel good. 1 more. One more. To come out of it, I'm going to take that right hand a little closer to the face, push down into the arm, lift the head and the left shoulder, pull that left hand up and out, reaching it up towards the sky, bringing the hand down to the mat, looking to work into the opposite side. So left hand maybe comes a little closer to the midline of the body. We're going to inhale, reach the right hand up. Maybe you're reaching up, maybe you're just reaching out to the side. Exhale, come down and under, but don't touch. Inhale to reach. Exhale to come down and under. Last one, inhale to reach. Exhale to come down and under. Right shoulder touches down. Side of the head touches down. Left hand comes just out towards the left. And we push the body a little bit back towards the right. Again, making sure you can breathe here, making sure you're comfortable through that right arm. The palm is facing up towards the sky on the right hand that's come underneath the body. We're taking the beginnings of a twist. Maybe feeling this through the back body and the side body. Again, we're holding for those 5 breaths. 3 more. Again, with all these poses, you can, if you want to, close your eyes. 1 more. Inhale here, taking the left hand closer to the body. Inhale, reaching the right arm up. Exhale, bringing the hands down. From here, it can be really nice, whether this is a morning practice or an evening practice, just to take yourself down onto your belly. Take your arms wide, or maybe make a little pillow and just bring your head or chin down to the floor and take a few breaths here. Two or 3. And then bring ourselves back towards that tabletop. Bring yourself then back towards a seat where you can finish your practice. If you have any more yoga poses that you know yourself that you want to include, you can start to add on or build up. But this is a really nice kind of morning wake up or evening chill out flow that you can do from the comfort of your home without a mat, but at least with a blanket, cushions, or pillow underneath your knees. And I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday for our community practice. Thank you.